Okay, so there's just been so much discussion that this religious exemption is broad. And when I posed the fact situation to you, if you have a same-sex couple who brings their child into a church and wants their child to be christened, and that church refuses on religious grounds, this exemption would not apply, correct?
Specifically, I don't see that this would apply.
Okay, so again, maybe this...
To your hypothetical.
So maybe this broad exemption really only applies to the ceremony and not the plethora of other situations that could occur given the given how much our churches are involved in our society today.
Okay, well, I would note that it talks about a marriage celebration. So
yes, that's true, and that's in connection with the solemnization. Right. But again, the christening situation, obviously.
And I don't believe the state gets involved in those christening situations.
Okay, thank you.
Ah, exactly so. Exactly. So a church would not have to perform a ceremony for two men or two women that want to, quote, marry. But if that couple then brings in a child and says, okay, we want to dedicate our child, and the church says, well, no, we only dedicate children of married couples and we don't recognize your marriage, there'd be no protection there. Of course, it affects everyone. A little while, I just want to tell you what's happening in schools in America. Just what's happening, not what could happen, what is happening. But first, let's go to the phones. Mike in Kailua, Hawaii, thanks so much for calling the Line of Fire. What's your take, sir?
Yeah, this is Mike.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm on the other side from you. I don't expect to convince you, or I don't think you could convince me with your argument. I just wanted to speak to the characterization at the top of the show that the Senate and the legislation acted against overwhelming opposition to this. According to virtually every poll here on the island conducted by television news stations, by newspapers, and other media and organizations, Hawaiians are about anywhere from 60 to 70% in favor of marriage equality. I was very involved in the
but let me just tell you what. I want to talk to you, all right? So I've got a couple of questions to put in. I'm interrupting because I've got a break coming up, but I want to put out a few questions, okay? And then we'll get back to you and give you a chance. I don't want you to be interrupted in the middle of this, okay? So just a few things. First, I'm curious to know why you think you can't convince me or I can't convince you. If we're reasonable people and the data is against you or against me, why be – I'm certainly not convinced I can't convince you. I hope I can. So I'm curious about that. And then I'm curious about the term marriage equality, why you use that term, because I don't think it has anything to do with that at all. So that's the second question. You'll have 2 minutes to think, all right? But we'll come back and you can start with the polling data, all right? And then I'll get to my questions. But so my questions are, why don't you think you can convince me or I can convince you? That's one. Two, why do you call it marriage equality? And then the last question is, if the polling data is what you say, then how do you explain this massive outpouring? Because we all know that gay activists are very passionate about this. This is, for them, their life. Curious to see why it was so overwhelmingly a response in the other direction. Surely you can't believe that all these groups, these disparate groups, had this master organizational plan that gay activists didn't have. So I'm curious about that. So thanks for calling, Mike. We will talk on the other side of the break.
It's The Line of Fire with your host, Dr. Michael Brown. Get into the Line of Fire now by calling 866-34-TRUTH. Here again is Dr. Michael Brown.
I really want to thank you folks for making a way for us to come here and testify. But before we do that, we're going to sing a song. Okay?
I'm sorry, just be aware that if this is how you want to spend your 2 minutes, that's fine. You all get 2 minutes. I understand.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
To tell you that we love you. We just came to tell you that we care. We just came to say, share a little smile today. We just came
one of my friends who's a strong Christian activist, stands for righteousness, said he knows these folks well. But that's the message they wanted to get across. We love you. We're exalting Jesus, and we passionately differ. I'm looking at an article, Honolulu Civil Beat, Huffington Post, Gay Voices. Hawaii voters are split over making same-sex marriage legal in the islands, with 44% in support and 44% opposed. Same question was asked April last year. A majority, 51%, said they did not believe same-sex couples should have the legal right to get married. Just 37% felt that they did. I'm on the phone with Mike in Kailua, Hawaii, on the other side of this issue from me. That's the recent polling data I have, Mike, and there's this overwhelming show of support. About 90% of those who testified said they don't want to redefine marriage. So I'm just wondering how you can have info that seems so radically different than that.
Well, I think for one thing, the info I have is more current because this has been going on, this special session, for 3 weeks now, and just concluded yesterday with the Senate vote. So I'm talking about news organizations, local television, Hawaii News Now, things I've read in the Star Advertiser in recent days and weeks. As they
so it shifted. No, this was HuffPost Gay Voices from Honolulu. It shifted that radically in 2 or 3 weeks, that something of this profound nature, where there's actually a constitutional amendment that was voted on saying that marriage is the union of a man and a woman, that suddenly something this major shifts. I mean, Mike, don't you have to then look at right at the time of voting then, the clearest poll is what happened at the hearings, and that was an unprecedented outpouring of the people saying, don't redefine marriage.
Let me interrupt or let me continue. So as part of the hearing situation, there were opportunities to submit written testimony, which, again, according to the local news, according to various other organizations like the ACLU, those written tests, and also from friends who work in the Capitol and work in both Republican and Democratic offices, those written testimonies were about even in terms of for or against. Then people have the opportunity to come and sign up to speak. The Senate hearings were very brief. The House.
Why was this being pushed through in a special session, though, Mike? Why was this being pushed through in a special session? There's all kinds of outrage.
I'll answer your question. The reason that it was put in a special session, and people, kind of the party line of those opposed is, why was this pushed through? Why did it go through a special session? Why couldn't we do it in the regular time? If they had done this during the regular session, I can guarantee you that they would not have spent 56 hours.
No, Mike, now you're discrediting yourself. Mike, hang on. I wanted to take you seriously, but you're completely shooting yourself in the foot. They did not push this through in a special session so as to give people over 50 hours to testify on behalf of marriage as we've always known it. They were not. They knew full well. They knew full well. This is an outrage that something of this massive importance is being pushed through. I mean, the people who voted like this, even though Hawaii is heavily Democrat, they're all going to regret it. I mean, they'll regret it long term because of the negative fruit. I mean, you can go ahead and laugh, but let me ask you this question.
When was the last time you spent time in Hawaii?
Last year. But Mike,
okay.
and I'm on the air every day in Hawaii, 5 days a week, an hour a day. So, but Mike, here's my question for you. Okay, why do you call this marriage equality?
Because that's what it's about. It's about the equal opportunity that everyone in our country should have to the rights, the privileges, and the negative parts.
Well, what is marriage? How do you define marriage?
Marriage is two people coming together.
Wait. Where'd you get the idea it was two? Whoa. Who said two? Who said two? Why two?
I just did. Why not?
Then why not 40? Why not one? Why not one half? Why not 70?
That was certainly the biblical model.
No, it's a man and a woman. Mike, the only reason it's two is because it's a male and a female. You don't believe Mike, listen. I'm trying to give you a chance to talk, but you got to interact with me. If you want to talk about biblical, then the Bible is 100% against your position. The Bible is 100% against men with men, women with women. 100% under all circumstances, period. So I ask you a simple question. If you believe in marriage equality, where do you get the definition of two? The only reason it's two is because it's a man plus a woman, and they uniquely have the possibility by rule of being able to reproduce and then join a child to a mother and father. Why do you get the number two? From where?
Okay, then it's more than two. I don't care.
Exactly. All right, so it can be two brothers. If they're two gay brothers.
I don't care.
Exactly. So you don't care about marriage, Mike. That's the whole point. You don't care about marriage. It has nothing to do with marriage. It has to do with gay activism. Because you just said you don't need to be two. It could be three. You could have polygamy on the island. You could have polyamory. You could have two adult brothers that fall in love.
Sure.
Okay.
Polygamy and polyamory are part of the Hawaiian history and the Hawaiian culture.
And yet overwhelmingly, the people said at the hearing, one man, one woman. So just to be clear, then you've got no problem, Mike. You've got no problem with three men who feel that they want to come together in a holy commitment. Three men, that's fine.
I don't care.
Okay, two adult sisters. Okay, they've been separated, early in life. Now they come together. Two adult sisters, and they can't have kids, so there's no genetic issue, of any problem with it. So two adult sisters that fall in love, because there is something called genetic sexual attraction, GSA, that scientists have found that people separated early in life that are from the same family can be attracted to each other later. So marriage equality, two adult sisters, no problem with them being together, right?
I don't care.
All right, got it. Okay, loud and clear, sir. You have told everyone what we need to hear. Once you want to redefine it, you completely trash it. Hey, Mike, thank you for the call. I got a break coming up. Otherwise, I would talk more because it's productive to actually hear these things. Friends, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why we're on the front lines.